So I received a great question today and I wanted to touch base on it because I think a lot of people don't realize that they're potentially training at a time that is compromising their results relative to their physique, their performance, as well as their health profile. So the question was whether or not it was better to train first thing in the morning or in the evening. And for most people, they're going to immediately assume that this is a matter of preference. Well, which one do you like better? Do you like working out in the morning? If so, work out in the morning. And if you prefer working out in the evening, well, the answer is simple, work out in the evening. But it's a little bit more complex than that. Now, interestingly, there actually is a more optimal time of day to train. Now, granted, if your schedule is rigid and doesn't allow you the flexibility to shift your training time, obviously something is better than nothing. But consider the following. Nobody would argue that quality and quantity of sleep is arguably the most important, if not one of the most important, foundational factors contributing to your physique development, your performance, and your quality of health long term. But quality of sleep is also a byproduct of the temperature of the environment within which you sleep and the efficiency with which you can fall asleep, which is also affected by the temperature in your sleeping environment. Not only does it matter what the temperature of the room is that you're in, but it also matters what your body temperature is. And what's interesting is when you work out, your body temperature rises. And it takes quite a few hours for that temperature to return back down to baseline. So here's the kicker. If you work out first thing in the morning, say at 7 a.m., then your body temperature will inevitably rise, but it'll also come back down, likely by late morning, early afternoon. If you work out first thing in the afternoon, then maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock, by late afternoon, early evening, your body temperature will have returned to normal. But if you work out in the early to mid-evening, right before you go to bed, you'll likely not have an adequate amount of time for your body temperature to return down to a reasonable point within which you'll be able to efficiently fall asleep. This becomes an issue because if you're tossing and turning and unable to fall asleep, then likely it's going to impact the quantity of sleep you get, or potentially, because you're unable to fall asleep efficiently, it could undermine the quality of sleep that you get. Likely, both will be negatively impacted, the quality and quantity, but definitely one of them, at least. And we all know this has happened because we've all been in situations in which we're too warm, even if it's just minimally, and we toss and we turn and we flip the pillow over 87,000 times in a row to find the colder side because it helps us fall asleep faster, but it just doesn't seem to work because we're too warm and it ruins our ability to fall asleep. Knowing as much, if you're compromising your quality and quantity of sleep, even minimally, it is going to negatively impact, as a byproduct, your physique development, your performance development, or your general health goals. So whether or not one of those facets is most important to you, or all of them collectively, you're undermining your efforts. So yes, even though it does appear to be a matter of preference, there is in fact a more optimal time to work out, and that would be first thing in the morning, followed by early afternoon, and then last on the least, because something is better than nothing, would be in the evening. Now, of course, it does matter to a degree what time you go to bed, so you could argue, well, I work out at 4 p.m. and I don't go to bed until 11 p.m., and I would then rebuttal and say, well, that's not optimal for hormone release, but that's an entirely different topic altogether. But regardless, that would be the order of prioritization if I were selecting the optimal time for training for myself, which is why I work out first thing in the morning, or if somebody were to base their training time off of what would be the best in a perfect world. If you found this to be an interesting topic, something that you had been curious about before, but you had never really considered to be all that impactful, and it did pique your curiosity, then of course I invite you to follow or subscribe, depending of course on what social media platform you're seeing this on. And as per usual, if you happen to have any questions just like this one, that you're curious about and you'd like a little bit more insight onto, make sure you send them my way, whether they're training related, nutrition related, or just lifestyle related. And if I'm able to, you bet I'll cover them in an upcoming